Right, welcome to checkpoint 6 of Kael'Ala's Eternity, where I did some upgrading of the ME drives, so I now have a lot more storage than I did last turn checkpoint. I've upgraded all of the infusing factories to actually be infusing factories. I've also got this temporary setup where I can simply push out cobbled deep slate into here. I don't think I actually have an import-export bus on it. No, I don't. So I'll have to do that later on. I've upgraded these. I also have a temporary alloy kiln here for making brass, because I'm going to eventually have a what do you call it? An arc furnace underneath the floor. I also have a full sulfuric acid production line here, which I've yet to actually make basic tier installers to upgrade this thanks to the latest update to the pack. And in episode 60, which I basically just finished, I made this, and it took basically the whole entire episode. But I now have fully self-sustaining and high capacity turn stress unit generation, which, as you can see, stress capacity is basically 65 KSU from 4 engines, and I'm only using what, 1, 2, about 3k for all these. So yeah, I also in the last 10 episodes made a fission reactor. Unfortunately, the first time I got up and running, I was cooking that night and thought, oh yeah, it's all good. I was leave it running, go make dinner, and come back. Yeah, came back just in time to see a chat message saying Dog Swamp was doomed to fall. Unfortunately, the buffer here had filled up, and because it was still running, it then proceeded to just dump the excess waste straight into the area here and irradiate everything, killing every single one of my dogs, which I was not terribly enthused about. Also moved the charging station from here over to be here, and from here I can now just stand here, be charging up my armor while at the same time throwing in enchanted gear to rip off the enchants, and I can immediately just put them straight into here, which is a Library of Alexandria made in episode 59. And so immediately it took a bit, but I managed to make the Library of Alexandria. The main killer, of course, being ironically enough the levels, but I actually managed to get the levels via today another new development. I have found the location for the Abyss Depths. I will, of course, probably have to wipe out all here though, because I want to have it where all here just straight up looks like pure ocean, which means that I'm gonna have to make all here just vanish into the ocean basically. But this here is my temporary villager XP farm. Now, ironically enough, it's actually the most ethical kind of farm they can possibly make, because dotted all around here are 2 cartographers, and a whole shit ton of fishermen. I go in with tons of emeralds, get tons of cod, also get tons of XP. I can also buy a bunch of maps, going with tons of coal, and I can get a bunch of emeralds. And basically, this ended up helping me get to level 100 faster than even mining out the entire deep dark biome of all with Skull. So it's like, what, about an hour and a half of searching for XP granting, what do you call it, XP granting ores and skulk, and I didn't find them. Well, I did, but I didn't. Like, it took freaking forever to find small amounts, and I only got like, what, maybe 3 to 5 levels out of it. But then I came here, found the trading fleet here, and got to 100 in like, what, maybe half an hour? So yeah, I got plenty of XP out of these guys. And as an added bonus, no villagers were harmed. But yeah, also new is that I now have an induction cell. However, like, I really don't like the way they redesigned the induction cell thing, cause like, this just looks like it hasn't even been formed, right? But this is new as of, like, I'm not even sure what to turn episode now, really, but between last recap and this one, definitely new. And as you can see, I've also slightly expanded the turbine. I'm going to eventually be expanding it out to here, so it'll take up the rest of the space along with the nuclear reactor, which I have set to automatically be fed. Let me find a spot where I can jump down. Yeah, I got set to automatically be fed from the ME system, right? Because this feeds into the ME system, and from there, okay, looks like I'm out of fluorite for that. But yeah, basically from there, it all basically just goes into a big feedback loop. And I also did the entire fusion enchantment process as well. And this is how I got to the point where I could actually make the Library of Alexandria, which was the last thing I needed. I'm leaving this here like this for now, but I will be making a much better looking system that will also still have the same benefits afforded to it, but I'll be making it up there once I make the the main floor rather of the manor. Because as you might recall from early on, this here is a sub basement, right? And then even though it's basically ground level, this here is the basement level. Up here is where the main level is. During the time between episodes, I think 58 and 59, or might have been 57 and 58, I managed to snake myself a happy gas, who by now seems to be deciding to dance on the wall. Why? I have no idea. But I do also have 2 new dogs, named one Scardy, and of course Dog Swamp the second. I've made sure to put them over here just in case. Now, the same thing happens with the reactor again. I've also upgraded the boiler. I will, however, have to add more pumps to be able to have more water coming out into here. I'll also be needing to make more fluid heaters to then push more heat to this to increase my passive energy production, which, as you can see right now, I've got 61 kara for tick production, and right now I'm using around about, let's call it 50k. Right, so 50 kara, which means this is actually filling at 11 kara for tick. That's without processing any ores. Because I also have over here the ore processing system, which I've had for a while. It just took until like what, the other day to actually finish now going through all my ores. And I've also now got 3 thermal evap plants which feed not only an electrolytic separator, which I'm gonna turn on for a minute. And the electrolytic separator then gives this fusion reactor sodium, which will let this heat up. Go away until it ticks over the first point of damage. That way I can have it heat up for longer. And there we go. And now I simply let it cool back off from that. And of course, as you can see, it's getting superheated sodium. Superheated sodium then comes in, combines with lava to make netherite ingots into the molten thermonuclear, which combines with lava again to turn enriched radiance into enriched thermonuclear, which I need for supreme tier upgrades, such as the supreme bins here, which I have holding my salt. Like right now I'm making more salt than I'm using, because I'm actually not using any salt. But once I put more ores in, this will actually begin to essentially, like, you know, like fill up again. And I should really put that. Hang on, I've actually turned up more purple fuel I need to deal with too. So, this is from the insane amount of EMC I had left over from, like, basically pulling out EMC from this to make a crap ton of end stone for making end steel, to make end steel grinding balls. So while that's running, and go find the salt, which salt's slowly increasing in here. But basically, this will get fed by that and goes through, and just all I gotta do is just throw in blocks of raw, blocks of raw ores, like, raw copper, raw lead, raw iron, raw gold, and then do this, raw, and of course you hear it starting up. So that all goes through, and that's just automatic ore processing. And I also finally let me do this. Also finally reforged my armor. And I've also upgraded my sword and also the grasp of eternity, but not yet my hatchet. But I'm also soon going to making a mob grinder so I can actually get more enchants. But yeah, and I believe this year I was starting on like at the start of this run of episodes, but I ended up getting burnt out a bit, just because like not only was it not quite adhering to its own scaling, but it was also it was also failing to basically work in general. So I thought, I'll do a bit of it on Aethan Terror where I've got more stuff so I can do a bit more in the way of actually attempting to to build the whole thing. And found out that I had actually messed up some here, but then fixed that up on Aethan Terror, and then found out that this room here, it really doesn't seem to want to follow logic. Like, from here to here is I think it's 36, but here, I'm sorry, it was there to there is 27, there to there at the same exact points is 36. So somehow between here and here it gains literally and literally gains 9 blocks. So somehow it becomes 9 blocks wider without becoming any wider. It's really confusing. But yeah, that's basically it for now, really. Oh, and except I now also have automated butchering. This is just turn blood blocks and getting just basically deleted by the water. Because I have the water in place because that pushes any of the food items that end up dropping, or even clothing items that end up dropping, and pushes them into another one of the hoppers here. And of course, as you can see, it all just kind of drops down and it gets pulled into the enemy system, which then spits out all the raw meat, and then pulls it back in once it's cooked. So yeah, and I overhauled the crafting system here. So now I've got a couple of different CPUs. I now have up to 9, in fact. And this one is the first that's fully built. Like, if I mine this Okram, as you can see, it's a 256M, which means that there's no higher level they can go up to. But the main thing I'm really happy about though is the fact that that's now one fully intact and fully done CPU, which I then have to repeat that 3 more times for this level, and then go do it 4 times for this level, and then from there I can close it all up and just slowly upgrade the rest of the CPUs over time. So yeah, and at this point there's not really much else to do, but yeah, effectively, you know, I don't let you all go, and yeah, I'll see you all in episode 61. And why does it seem like no freaking wonder for some reason like the stream which I started going from recording episode 60, it's literally like about an hour and 44 minutes back from where I'm actually at, which I find kind of hilarious. But yeah, so yeah, I'll see you all in episode 61.